super stoked to get into this with you guys. We're going to be going over real life examples of manifesting money, and not only from just examples of some of the wealthiest people in the entire world, entire modern history, but also we're going to be going over modern people, actors, fighters, comedians, etc., bodybuilders, etc., who you all know of already. I'm sure most of you guys know of already. So people like Henry Ford, Jim Carrey, Steve Harvey, Jennifer Aniston, Conor McGregor, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? And really, guys, once you start looking at how many people actually, of your favorite celebrities, your athletes, whoever, business entrepreneurs, who have been able to achieve these great states of success and wealth and abundance, if you really start to analyze and look at their stories and go back in interviews and maybe watch some podcasts with them, you're going to see they either specifically mention manifestation itself, or they may not label it, but they literally mention the steps for manifestation. So it's really cool to think about, once you start understanding this stuff, how many people out there do it. And literally everyone who has made, the success and the wealth and the abundance their reality, they have used manifestation one way or another. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So first guy, Henry Ford. Now, this was a really cool example that I found out about when I first read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. One of the best books out there. I highly encourage you guys read it. And it is about manifestation. And this guy, Napoleon Hill, I think it was in the 1920s to 1940s. I can't remember. It was around the 1920s, 1930s-ish. He spent 25 years of his life interviewing the wealthiest and richest and most successful people of the era. So literally people who, were basically billionaires back then, 500 of them, 500 people, and he compiled that down into a formula, which is one of the formulas for manifestation that I'm going to share with you guys in this course, that I have adapted as well. And yeah, just gave you guys some more insights into it, kind of adapted it for a modern setting. But he goes over a lot of these key figures when he was alive, and it's just amazing. It's such an inspirational, motivational story. So Henry Ford, a vision far bigger than his circumstances. So quick review. His manifestation story. Okay, he was born on a farm. He was poor, had no access to wealth, education, but he had a clear, burning vision to make the automobile affordable for the average American. Okay, and at this time, cars were luxury items for the rich. There were no cars for consumers. Okay, people laughed at him that the working class should own one. Okay, but he believed deeply that it was possible, and he saw it in his mind. He visualized it long before it became real. Okay, another big thing is he failed multiple times. His first 2 car companies collapsed. Investors lost faith, but he didn't. Okay, he stayed committed and connected to his vision, refused to give up, because in his mind it was already done, right? And actually, this is where the quote came from that I said in a previous lesson. I couldn't remember where it was from. It's from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And it's such a powerful quote because it really exemplifies the power of thoughts and beliefs and feelings. It's like, if you don't think it's possible to achieve your dreams, achieve your financial goals, to make $1 million a year, to make an extra $10,000 a year, $10,000 a month, $10,000 a day, whatever your dreams and goals and desires are, then no matter what you do, you will not be able to manifest that. You have to believe. You have to believe and think that you can do it, okay? And feel that you can do it. So he famously, so one of the whole things about Henry Ford is, what did he do? Is he made the first mass-produced V8 engine for consumers. And he famously told, this is a famous story, he famously told his engineers to make an eight-cylinder engine cast as a single block. Now, before that time, it wasn't ever done before. Everyone said it was impossible. Even the engineers he had, they said, it can't be done. And he said, produce it anyway. So they kept working on it. 6 months passed, a year passed. Engineers still said, it's impossible. It can't be done. And Henry Ford says, I want it and I'll have it. Keep trying, keep going. And guess what happened, guys? A few months later, the engineers finally succeeded. And they literally were able to produce this V8 engine of Henry Ford's visions. And it was because of his thoughts, beliefs, and persistence that he he literally commanded it into existence, guys. He literally commanded it into this reality and manifested his desires. Okay, so it's one of the coolest stories of kind of someone literally willing something into existence by their belief and persistence and thoughts. I just want to share another story with you guys about him. This guy's a pretty amazing life. If you ever get a chance to read more into it, but just briefly. So this is a kind of a funny and also cool story about how this applies to entrepreneurship and beliefs and success and things. So in 1919, Henry Ford sued the Chicago Tribune for libel, basically for saying untrue stuff about him, defamation, basically. The newspaper called him ignorant, questioned his intelligence, etc. So he went to actually trial with this. And during the trial, the lawyers tried to prove that this guy was stupid, that he was uneducated, by grilling him with a series of like really ridiculous and trivial academic questions. So they asked things like, how many soldiers did the British send to America to suppress the revolution? Who was Benedict Arnold? What year was the War of 1812 fought? And Ford couldn't answer most of them, and he really didn't care. So what did he say? And this is his legendary response. After being asked one too many of these like gotcha questions, Ford delivered a mic drop response. He said, if I should really want to answer the foolish questions you have just asked me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing a button right now, I can summon men who can answer any question I desire to ask. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require? Like, absolute boss, absolute legend, legendary response. And why I shared this with you guys and why I wanted to bring this up is that this illustrates the mindset and the belief and persistence of Henry Ford. Okay, again, he didn't come from wealth. He didn't come from education. He didn't have an education. But what he was able to do is have belief in himself, in his vision, in his ideas, feel that feeling that what he desires is actually real, that he actually has that already, and through persistence, will that into existence, okay, and manifest whatever he wants. And he doesn't need to have all of the knowledge in the world, okay? All he needs is to have that burning desire, that persistence, that belief, and that feeling, that state of being and that state of feeling that it is possible and that he can do this and that he has already done this. He's already achieved what he wants. And the physical 3D reality is just catching up to it, okay? So this is a really important, I think, story to illustrate that, to apply this to your situation, to modern business or whatever you're doing, job, whatever, is maybe part of you thinks that, yeah, I want $1 million or one extra 100K a year or whatever it is. But you think, oh, it's so difficult. You're thinking big picture. Oh, it's so difficult. I don't even know where to start. I'm not a genius. I'm not an e-commerce person. I'm not a computer person. I don't know how to do trading, crypto trading. I don't know any of this stuff. How can I do this? How is it even possible for me to? You start to doubt yourself with all these, these doubtful thoughts, these scarcity, fear, lack thoughts. And what you need to realize is that you don't actually need to know any about that stuff, guys. All you need to do is have which we'll get into in a little bit, but have a clear idea of what it is you want and have belief in that, okay? And persist in that belief. And you will achieve what you want. And like Henry Ford, you don't have to know all the answers to these, historical or whatever questions, but all you need to know is, are you able to acquire that? Are you able to hire someone who does have that knowledge? Are you able to pay someone to give you that what you need for that, to give you that work or that knowledge or whatever, or to to write up this thing to give you? So you don't have to have all the answers. It's basically what I'm trying to say. You can manifest without having all of the answers. All right, so this is one of my favorite ones, guys. I love Jim Carrey. This guy is he was honestly one of the first people that really got me into manifestation. I mean, I remember this famous story, which I'll get into in a second, about him, and that was one of the first things that I remember about my journey, and as I'm learning about it, that really inspired me and helped me to be able to manifest and to learn about how to do it properly. So I'm sure everyone knows Jim Carrey is. If not, he's a famous comedian and actor. And there's this famous story about, I just want to make sure that, yeah, okay, so I'll get into the specific story, but basically what he did is, there's this famous story about how he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and he dated it to 5 years in the past, okay? Thanksgiving 1995. And just before Thanksgiving 1995, he found out he was going to make $10 million from Dumb and Dumber, the movie he did. All right? And he literally manifested that, guys. So I'm going to share now this story about how that actually happened. So again, guys, in the early 90s, Jim wrote himself a check for $10 million. So at this point, he was broke, okay? He literally didn't have any money. He was broke. But what he did is he wrote himself a blank check, or he used a blank check, and he put on it acting services rendered, and set a date. He said Thanksgiving 1995, and he put the amount, $10 million. And he said, by this date, I'm going to have $10 million, okay? So what he would do is he put that back in his wallet, and every day, every night, he would visualize it. So there's a story of he would go to the top of, I think it was Hollywood Hills, where all the rich people lived, basically, all the rich people and all the famous people lived. He would sit on his car, and he would visualize himself being successful, being wealthy, and being abundant, as long as it took, and sometimes it took him hours, as long as it took for him to actually believe that he was. As long as it took for him to actually imprint on his subconscious, by repetition of affirmations and beliefs, that he was a famous actor, and he was a multimillionaire. He did receive $10 million, okay? He would visualize things very specific, like having directors interested in him. You know, I would visualize things coming to me, he said, okay? So that's a really cool story, guys, because, and I encourage you guys to go watch it's just YouTube it. It's really cool. Obviously, I'm not doing it justice, but he even has ones. I mean, he learned about manifestation when he was a kid. There's a cool story about how he really wanted a bicycle. Like when he was a kid, he wanted a red bicycle or tricycle or something like that, and his parents couldn't afford it. But like 2 weeks later, he came home and found out that he won that tricycle. It was in his house or something like that, in his yard, because his friend, who he didn't even know did this, entered him in some draw for this bike, and he won it. And that's when the first time he knew that manifestation was real. So very, very cool story, and really illustrates a lot of the steps and the important aspects and the key aspects of manifestation, and that visualization, and that, you know, doing it every day, every day and every night, and not taking no for an answer. He didn't stop after a month. He didn't stop after 6 months. He didn't stop after a year. Okay, it took him almost 5 years, but he did it. He achieved it, and he was able to manifest his abundant, wealthy, successful life. Okay? So Steve Harvey, another really cool story. So Steve Harvey, he was homeless, sleeping in his car, right? But he was writing out his dreams. So he wrote out his dreams, he practiced gratitude, and he was trusting in divine timing. He visualized success, and it manifested through faith and persistence, okay? And there's a really cool story of his that, you know, one time he used all his money to book a business class flight to embody wealth and success. And so by doing this, and this is actually a really good tactic, I would encourage you guys, I've done this myself, and I encourage you guys to do as well, is he literally took every cent he owned at that time, and he used it to purchase a business class flight so that he could get in the feeling of being wealthy, and get in the state of mind and the state of being, and embody wealth and success and you know, everything he dreamed of, okay? So after that, you know, his subconscious was so impressed with the feeling of wealth and abundance and success of flying business class, even though in his eyes, you know, his physical situation wasn't wealthy yet. He was broke. His subconscious mind was always trying to get back to that state, and always, from thereafter, giving ideas and giving inspirational ideas about things and keeping him in that feeling. He was able to actually feel. He literally didn't even have to imagine it. He was able to feel that he was wealthy during that time that he took the flight, and look back on that and reflect back on that when he needed to. Okay. And one of the quotes he says is, the law of attraction is real. Okay. Ask, believe, receive. All right. So who else? Jennifer Aniston, guys. So everyone knows about Jennifer Aniston, famous Friends actor. Okay. She also used manifestation to achieve all of her dreams. Okay. So very similar story to all these other people, guys. Early 90s, she was a struggling actress. She did some TV shows which kind of failed. They didn't really work out. And instead of giving up, she visualized herself getting her big break, having a role that felt natural, fun, like connected to herself. Despite rejection and years of like almost success, she never let go of that internal knowing that like, no, this is coming. My big break is coming. I've already manifested this. It's already here. I already know that it is coming. I already have my big break in the movie that I want, and I'm playing the character that I want. Okay. So she emotionally aligned herself with the character of Rachel Green before she even knew about the Friends or anything that came to pass. She emotionally aligned with that character because she was her. That was her. She wanted a breakthrough role that was like herself, that it wasn't fake or anything, right? That aligned with her values. And she didn't try to act the part. She just embodied it. It was her natural state. And so she was able to manifest that role, and look what she did. She became incredibly wealthy, successful, well-known, world-class actress, many famous movies and TV shows and everything. Okay. And it was that emotional resonance. Okay. This is a huge part of manifestation, is that you have to act as if, okay, the feeling as if you already have it, as if you already are this person, as if you already have X, what you want to achieve. You have to feel the success before it's real. Okay. And she says, to manifest whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest, you speak to it as though it has already happened. Okay? Again, what I mentioned before is you want to feel as if the wish is fulfilled already, that you already have whatever it is you want. You already have the riches you desire. You already are the person that you desire. You're the person that has what you desire. Okay? Conor, another big celebrity who used manifestation. Okay. One of his famous quotes, I visualize my imagination so clearly and so consistently that it has manifested itself into my reality. Okay. So Conor's story, before fame, I believe he was working construction, and he constantly spoke as if he was already champion. Okay. He visualized, even in his darkest times, even when he was broke, even when he had nothing and he was working, 18 or 20 hour construction days, he visualized his victories. He visualized himself as a world champion and embodied the mindset of success, years before anyone believed in him, before he became champion, before he changed the world, And he always said, if you can see it here and you have the courage to speak it, it will happen. Okay. If you have the courage to speak it, think it, and believe it, it will happen. All right. Another one, Arnold Schwarzenegger, bodybuilder, actor, businessman. I even think he was a politician. The legend, the GOAT. So I don't know if many of you know about his manifestation story, but he grew up in post-World War II Austria. Okay, he was in poverty. No one around him had big dreams, but from a young age, he developed a clear image of what he wanted. He saw himself in America. He saw himself famous, wealthy, strong, admired. He didn't just hope. He would play this mental movie in his head over and over and over and over again. Famously, he would visualize his muscles growing. That mind-body connection, that mind-muscle connection. Arnold was one of the first people to actually visualize this and use this successfully. He was winning visualized himself winning competitions, being interviewed on American TV. He didn't have proof. Okay, his physical reality, 3D reality, with his eyes, would say, this isn't real yet. But he trained his mind as if it already happened. Okay, he used pictures, imagination, repetition, replaying these videos in his mind to burn the vision in his into his subconscious, impress his subconscious, so that that was now his natural state, that he was all of these things that he envisioned, okay? And he says, the mind is the limit, okay? As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it, okay? And just to go over a few more of his accolades and his accomplishments, he won many bodybuilding competitions. You know, he visualized Mr. Olympia, the hardest competition to win in the world, bodybuilding competition to win in the world, and he won it 7 times, you know? He credits visualization and unwavering beliefs as his main tools, okay? So he says, I saw myself standing on the podium long before I won the title. Again, guys, visualization and belief and feeling it as if it's already happened. I hope you're seeing these patterns of manifestation, these steps to take that successful people are taking, these successful people who have manifested wealth and abundance and everything that they have used, okay? So with Arnold, you know, he didn't even stop at the bodybuilding. He won Hollywood fame too. You know, everyone told him that his accent, his name, you know, he was too big, his muscles were too big, they're wrong for acting. But he ignored all that. He visualized himself as a movie star and kept affirming it, kept believing it, kept visualizing that he was already a movie star. And he even told his agent at one point, I'm not looking for a job. I am the leading man. I'm going to be the leading man. So he eventually manifested the Terminator, and from that, global fame, just everything from that, you know, countless movies. But he did this exactly as he saw it in his mind, guys. So it's all about, you know, I hope the one thing that you take away from this lesson is, you know, anyone can do this, and doesn't matter your circumstance, whether you're poor, whether, you know, you're whatever, no matter what happens, you can manifest whatever it is you want. And it all starts with, you know, having a clear idea of what you want, thinking and believing and visualizing that you can do it, okay?